I was recently asked about the common vegan argument that states that animals and basically any mammal especially that has any sentience, they can feel pain, they can feel emotions, and they're very observable in that regard. You can observe when dogs are happy, when dogs are sad, when dogs are depressed, etc., etc. And they use this as a reason why we should not engage in animal cruelty. I've covered this before. In fact, one of my best videos on this, and the reason I say it's one of my best is actually because, first of all, it was, in my opinion, it was a very good approach and elucidation, but it's also one of my only ones that I've done on the ethics of carnivore and the ethics of diet in the first place. It was on Earthling Ed, and I'll link a little tag in the top right corner of the screen, and if it's not there, it'll be in the description below so that you can watch that if you haven't watched it already. I covered this very briefly, actually, and it'll be brief here today. Basically, the argument is that, once again, since animals have emotions, that you should therefore not eat them. And first of all, this does beg the question as to whether or not every single method of slaughter is painful in the first place. But of course they would object and say, well, you wouldn't kill a human in a pain-free way and expect to get off scot-free, which is absolutely correct. But there's a difference when it comes to the ethics of consuming an animal because they can feel pain and they can feel distress and emotions. I would point to evidence of plants in the first place. And as silly and outlandish as that may sound on the surface, it has been shown that plants themselves have an ability to experience distress. They have different ways of expressing that distress because they don't have eyeballs and they don't have a nose and they don't have a mouth and vocal cords. However, there have been micro screams, so to speak. We do have auditory technology that can pick up on that nowadays, and you can observe that there are micro screams, so to speak, that the plants emit during times of obvious distress, encroachment upon their survival in any way. Any predation. It is a real phenomenon. Plants, we have to remember, are also living things. So then this leads to a question of, since animals are living things, we are living things, because arguably, depending on what context you're speaking within, we are animals, and also plants are living things. It raises the question as to what determines the value of that life as being greater than another. What determines the placement of the value of those lives in a value hierarchy? And when you pose this question to vegans, they can't answer it. They think that they can. They try to answer it, but any answer that they give is a contradiction, okay? Oh, the level of pain that they can feel. Plants can feel pain. Animals can feel pain. Okay, so what's your point? Oh, eyeballs and the mouth. That doesn't make any sense. Again, imagine a human lost their eyes. There's plenty of people enough to make this a valid point that you would say are not worthy of killing because they don't have eyeballs. Okay. Oh, they can still scream, so it's evidence of pain. Well, again, we've covered the evidence of pain thing. We've covered that. The way in which an animal or an organism expresses pain does not determine the value of their life. Okay. So again, the more human-like they appear, that's a pretty piss-poor argument. At the end of the day, they have to come to terms with the fact that every single thing that they eat was once alive. That's how it works. Okay? And is it ethical to feed ourselves a diet that is conducive from every hard inference that we have to living a less than optimal lifestyle in order to save a cow's life? The answer to that question is basically evinced and in a way divulged when you look at the answer, the obvious answer to the ethical question of whether you would get a train to go in the left track direction or the right track direction if the left track had a human on it and the right track had an animal on it. Which are you choosing? You're choosing the animal. Oh, great. Frankly, the vegan argument, there's a reason I don't often talk about it on my videos. They're so f***ing weak. These arguments are pathetic, okay? They really f***ing are, all right? The truth is, the only reason why these people think that they have an ethical argument to support the consumption of plants over animals is because animals, they relate to more than plants because they have eyes and a mouth and they have hair and they move around like we do. It's just more relatable to them. But that's not a f***ing ethical argument, okay? It's f***ing stupid. Every single thing that we eat was once alive. And these people cannot justify the reason why their value hierarchy has animals above plants with anything other than contradictory statements. You may have seen throughout this video, as I've been recording this the last 6 minutes and 25 seconds, that I've gotten more verklempt, so to speak, tempestuous. And it's because it's f***ing silly. It really is. I have very limited patience for stupidity and virtue signaling. Give me a break, okay? The least ethical people, some of the least ethical people on this planet are vegans. They are anti-human in the extreme. They hate humans because the fact that humans are even capable of harm because of our awareness of self-consciousness. We actually have self-consciousness. It's the thing that makes us have the capacity for evil. The sheer capability of it makes them hate humans. It's not a coincidence that many vegans encourage their partners, if they're females, or do this to themselves if they're males, get vasectomies. That's not a coincidence. They're anti-human. Once again, proving the fact that vegans are not pro-animal, they're anti-human, whether they realize it or not, whether they want to pretend that's not the case or not. Join me next time when we take down some more bullshit vegan ideology, plant-based ideology, and even mixed diet omnivorous ideology, because that's arguably more dangerous than the vegan diet. Catch me then.